All right, so our second I, imperialism. What we're looking at here is primarily European countries, European empires, ruling indigenous peoples of Africa, Asia, the Middle East, for raw material extraction, or you could say raw material exploitation, and captive markets. Okay. So that's what I put for imperialism. I would also write, you could say that imperialism is an effect of industrialization. Right. Britain needs cotton. Oh, I've just sneezed. Excuse me. Britain needs cotton for its textile factories. India grows a lot of cotton. That is the motivation behind India wanting to directly rule India as the British Raj. It is not because they're so upset about the Hindu practice of sati, where a Hindu widow would throw herself onto her husband's funeral pyre. Yeah, do they stop that? Sure. But do the British also say, hey, this caste system's really cool. Let's use it to more firmly control the Indians? Yeah, that's what they do. So that's what we're going to put for imperialism there. All right. Our N is nationalism. Okay. So this has two pieces. Piece number one, pride in one's nation state. So we read that ABC's for Little Patriots book, which was an English children's book. So like my daughter Lydia is part of the target age group that they'd be writing that for. So you are indoctrinating from a young age the subjects of your nation state to boast in the glory of your nation state. We're the greatest. The sun never sets on the British Empire. Look at all these battles we've won. Look at all this cool stuff we have. Look at our Enlightenment ideals. That's why we should get to conquer other places to build our empire, to make them more like us. Okay, so state-sponsored compulsory education, part of nationalism. But this is also, nationalism can also be defined as the desire for self-rule by indigenous peoples subjected to imperialism. And you guys saw that first week of digital learning that we did before spring break, we looked at decolonization. We looked at those nationalist leaders, Ho Chi Minh, Gandhi, Nehru, Nelson Mandela, and all of them were trying to remove from their countries the effects of imperialism, okay? And so that desire for self-rule, or in the case of Mandela, the desire for a non-segregated universal government, right, where the white minority didn't get to just railroad the black majority. That's really where we see like these desires for nationalist-inspired self-rule come to a conclusion, right, with in post-World War II decolonization. Okay, our last letter here is global migrations. And so the first thing I think we should write under global migrations is we're seeing a rural to urban pattern in a lot of cases, okay? But the global migrations we can include here would be Atlantic slave trade, until the mid 1800s. That's when that's really going to start slowing down. We still need cheap labor, though. So slavery is going to be replaced by indentured servitude. And that indentured servitude is our next global migration. We're going to see a lot of Chinese and Indian migrants as a part of indentured servitude, going to the tropical locations where things like sugar are still being produced, just with indentured servitude as the labor instead of slavery. We could put the Irish potato famine as another example of a long distance global migration. And we should also say that we see, like, how do I say this? We see other Europeans migrating to the Americas than we saw before. In the early modern era, you remember Spanish, Portuguese, French, Dutch, English. Those are your Europeans who are migrating to the Americas for permanent settlement. In the modern era, you're going to see Eastern Europeans, and you're going to see Southern Europeans, and they are not going to be welcomed by the descendants of the Europeans who migrated to the Americas in the early modern era. Okay. For example, we see in the Americas this idea of this like Protestant work ethic in the United States, especially because we see so many English who migrated over who are Protestants. And so they are not going to be very nice to the Irish Catholics that come over because of the potato famine. Okay, so that wraps up our G. And the contemporary era, what was going to be our units 8 and 9, even though we have learned about a couple of these things, decolonization and the Cold War already, this information is not going to be on the exam. So we're not gonna take the time to make a time period acronym expanded handout for this one. We'll skip this one. I'm glad you guys got to spend 2 weeks on this information, but we're not going to do any more on it because it's not going to be on the test. And I want to try to just narrow our scope now to what we need for the test. Another thing I want you to look at here is our inspect themes. If you have access to a print in your house, go ahead and click on that link and print the handout. If you don't have access to a printer in your house, please don't tell your parent you need to go use a printer somewhere. You don't. Just copy the handout onto line paper like we did with our time period acronyms today. It defines all of the themes: I, interaction, or IN, interactions between humans and the environment; S for social, P for political, E for economic, C is cultural, and T is technology. So it defines all of those, and then it gives you examples of what goes into each category. So that will be a helpful resource for you to have access to on the day you take the AP exam. I think, I don't know how much inspect themes will weigh into a DBQ, but they could be there. So that's why I want you to just have this handy. So go ahead and copy this down or print it if you have a printer. Either way is fine. Just something to have access to when you take your test. Okay, so the last thing I want you to do today is go find your study guides for units 1 through 6. If I remember correctly, 1 and 2 should be in a packet together, 3 and 4 should be in a packet together, and 5 and 6 should be in a packet together. So you should walk away with 3 packets after you search for these things. You want to have them handy as resources to review with, so we can be rereading those study guides, and then to refer to while we're taking our test. But I do want to give you a word of caution in terms of how we're going to use the study guides. The College Board is going to run your DBQ through plagiarism detection software. Okay. Remember that the study guides were written by myself and Mrs. Davis from BHS. They were not written in your own words. So what this means is if you're writing your DBQ and you look something up in your study guide and you copy that definition down word for word and say like, oh, this is part of my evidence 3. If multiple students of mine do that, and multiple students of Mr. Yakeley's, and then Mrs. Davis's, and Mr. Williams, and Mr. McNeese, we have 5 different AP World History teachers that are using these same study guides. We will get flagged for plagiarism. Okay, so you're going to use your study guides, but you're going to remember not to copy anything from them word for word because it's not in your own words. And you guys will definitely get flagged for plagiarism if you're copying word for word from the study guide. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's something we're going to use as a reference to help us remember information, but we definitely cannot copy from it, or our scores will be canceled on our DBQ. All right, so to earn attendance credit for today, you are going to take a picture in which I can see your 3 time period acronym charts, okay? I want to see your post-classical chart. I want to see your early modern chart, and I want to see your modern chart in this one picture, okay? You're welcome to show me your inspect handout too. If you take the time to do that, it's not required in the picture, but I really hope that you will do that because it will be helpful to you. If you want to show me in your picture also, hey, look, here's my study guide packets, that's great. But I just need to see a picture where you have at least done my 3 time period expanded acronyms with me, and you're going to submit that picture through today's Google Classroom post, and you want to give it to me by 8 a.m. Tuesday morning. All righty, that is everything for today. Thank you for sticking with me through all of these videos. On Wednesday, we'll be breaking down the modified DBQ prompt so that you can see exactly what this is going to look like. And then what you can expect from me over the next few weeks is a combination of content review and skills practice every time we have class. You will be writing a couple of, I would love to get 3 at least practice DBQs based on the new rubric, and you typing and you using that 45-minute time limit. I think kind of that's where we need to go. So content review, skills practice, and some full DBQs based on this new modified format. Okay. Email me if you have any questions, or message me through Remind 101. And we're gonna get ready for this modified test. We're gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be great. You guys are gonna be ready to kick this test butt. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.